This episode is sponsored by Stitch Fix and by ButcherBox.
Jeff Bezos is the world's richest person. Last week, in fact, he bought the most expensive house in Los Angeles for 1/8% of his estimated wealth.
That is 1/8 of 1%.
Yeah.
Yes. And how much was the house, Elliot? Like $130 million?
Yes.
1/8 of 1%.
Yeah. It's like 9 acres in the middle of Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, he paid for that with the change in his ashtray. He is so rich, in fact, that he has remained the world's richest person, even after handing over $35 billion in assets to his ex-wife in their divorce settlement, equivalent to the entire nominal GDP of Latvia. His net worth sits at around $130 billion, and no, it's not just cash that he's got sitting in a giant Scrooge McDuck vault. It is mostly tied up in assets like Amazon stock and property. But the point is, Jeff Bezos is worth more, monetarily, than anyone else on Earth, ever, by a pretty wide margin.
Yeah, Bill Gates is at number 2 with $13 billion less than Bezos. And for perspective, the average American earns around $2.7 million in their entire lifetime. So Jeff Bezos is around 4,814 lifetimes richer than just Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Not the average American. Using that same $2.7 million figure, it would take the average American 48,148 lifetimes to earn Jeff Bezos' net worth. And that's not even including expenses. So I know we just said Bezos' money is not liquid and he doesn't have a Scrooge McDuck vault, but if he did, and if his $130 billion was all in $100 bills stacked on pallets, it would fill a large warehouse. I mean, the guy is insanely rich. And that's part of the problem, is you can't even fathom the amount of wealth he has without those weird comparisons to other things and actually showing, like, a $100 bill, very thin, obviously. Pallets and pallets and pallets. It looks like it would be like the warehouse in the Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah. And he's got top men running that bank account.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's understandable that with all the poverty and death and looming climate catastrophe going on, a lot of people rightfully point out that Jeff Bezos' wealth could single-handedly solve a lot of the world's problems. Now, lately, this comes up mostly in the context of taxation, since a pretty easy answer to all the, well, how are you going to pay for it, talking points is just taxing guys like Bezos in a meaningful way. A popular response to that, though, is that all these billionaires, they already give away more than they'd ever be taxed in the form of charity. But actually, Bezos is kind of conspicuous even among his fellow billionaires for being a bit of a tightwad when it comes to charity. That is until this week.
Yeah, up until this week, Bezos' only notable charitable contribution was a $2 billion fund that he set up to fund initiatives dealing with homelessness and education. That's a lot of money, but also only around 1.5% of his net worth. This week, though, he did raise the stakes a bit, posting to Instagram that he's committing $10 billion to what he's calling the Bezos Earth Fund.
Bezos Earth Fund.
Quote, climate change is the biggest threat to our planet. I want to work alongside others both to amplify known ways and to explore new ways of fighting the devastating impact of climate change on this planet we all share. This global initiative will fund scientists, activists, NGOs, any effort that offers a real possibility to help preserve and protect the natural world. We can save Earth. It's going to take collective action from big companies, small companies, nation states, global organizations, and individuals.
And this is a good thing.
It is.
I think we can all admit that.
Yes.
And according to The Verge, it's not going to involve any private sector investments the way a lot of other billionaire guys' charities do. It's just going to be charitable giving in the form of grants. Bezos says that his fund will begin issuing grants this summer, and beyond that, there aren't really any details. So there are still some big questions, like how much of that $10 billion will be given out each year? Most charitable funds spend around 5% annually, which is fine in most situations, but climate change is a uniquely time-sensitive issue.
Yeah, we kind of need it now.
Yeah.
Also, as genuinely good that this kind of charitable commitment is, you still shouldn't let Bezos off the hook completely. I mean, Amazon is a particularly terrible company in terms of environmental impact. Yeah, it's nice that you can order a bunch of items on Prime and get each of those items delivered as soon as possible, but that means way more delivery vehicles making way more trips using way more cardboard than if you'd just gone to the store or, God forbid, had all your items delivered in one trip when they're all ready. Luckily, Amazon does have that option now, your delivery day.
Pretty much always select that. Because otherwise they're like, all right, we're going to send 5 fucking trucks to bring you each of these items individually.
Here's your hand soap. Here's this other thing that you wanted to order. Here's some measuring tape, all in 3 different boxes on 3 different days.
It's insane.
Another fair point in all this is that Jeff Bezos would have never gotten as rich as he has in the first place if Amazon actually paid their workers a living wage and didn't work them half to death, or sometimes completely to death. Though to be fair, they have improved a tiny bit in that regard. And this is all good. They are improving. We should be happy with the slight improvements because...
Well, and all these improvements have come after, like, lots of public outcry and pressure.
Yes, bullying works. I said it the other day on Twitter.
Bullying works,
we have
even with
successfully
billionaires.
bullied Bezos into being more charitable.
Yeah, there's also the fact that Amazon, and by extension Jeff Bezos, also makes a ton of its money off the oil and gas industry via their Amazon Web Service products. The organization Amazon Employees for Climate Justice, who've been loudly calling for Amazon to do better environmentally, they issued this statement regarding the boss man's big dono. As history has taught us, true visionaries stand up against entrenched systems, often at great cost to themselves. We applaud Jeff Bezos' philanthropy, but one hand cannot give what the other is taking away. The people of Earth need to know, when is Amazon going to stop helping oil and gas companies ravage Earth with still more oil and gas wells? When is Amazon going to stop funding climate-denying think tanks like the Competitive Enterprise Institute and climate-delaying policy? When will Amazon take responsibility for the lungs of children near its warehouses by moving from diesel to all-electric trucking? Why did Amazon threaten to fire employees who were sounding the alarm about Amazon's role in the climate crisis and our oil and gas businesses? What this shows is that employees speaking out works. We need more of that right now. Will Jeff Bezos show us true leadership, or will he continue to be complicit in the acceleration of the climate crisis while supposedly trying to help?
Yeah, at this point, like, the $10 billion is just trying to get to carbon neutral.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to make up for a good portion of the damage that this company has done. Well, anyways, another news about giving away money. We told you in last week's news dump about the sudden demise of HQ Trivia. That was the live trivia game show for mobile devices that was supposed to be the game show of the future. 25 employees and contractors were suddenly out of a job without severance, but before things officially ended, they still decided to go through with, one last broadcast. And we didn't really know why they would go ahead and do that. I mean, they're working for free, but once you watch it,
I'm glad they did.
Yes, it was a shit show. If you've ever been a part of a huge layoff or a company suddenly going belly up, you probably all ended up at a bar drinking your sorrows away, somewhere nearby. Everyone gathers together and just mourns it all. But since HQ had its final broadcast after the big announcement that they had all lost their jobs, we got to see HQ's host go through this live in real time.
Beautiful. So hosts Matt Richards and Anna Roisman were visibly, unashamedly shit-faced. And based on everything else about the broadcast, it seems like everyone in the control room was too.
Yeah.
They cursed throughout the broadcast. They openly begged for job offers. They talked about how HQ should have unionized a long time ago. They threatened to shit in the homes of the trolls in the chat.
Bird nest soup.
They sprayed champagne. They did handstands. It was actually pretty great. And now we wish they had done more episodes like this.
Yeah, it was like not to the same severity, but it was like the last episode of that show we did for Samsung Milk.
Yeah, just like fuck it. There's no rules anymore.
Wait, we lost the contract?
Doesn't
we have
matter.
to do one episode?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's
that
a good
video's
time.
still out there somewhere, I believe.
Yeah, so I mean, who knows? Maybe they can DQ trivia, drunk quarters trivia.
There you go. Now, meanwhile, in all of this, Scott is it Rogowski?
I think it's just Rogowski.
Okay, Scott Rogowski, the original host of HQ Trivia, he had actually left HQ last year when they wouldn't let him freelance other jobs. He had some choice words about the situation that he shared on Twitter. Quote, HQ didn't die of natural causes. It was poisoned with a lethal cocktail of incompetence, arrogance, short-sightedness, and sociopathic delusion. Saddened to see it finally succumb, sadder still for the good and talented staff abruptly left in the lurch after being gaslit and lied to.
Damn, Scott, tell us how you really feel.
It kind of sounds like every startup that went under, that I've ever worked for and that people within our talent pool of friends has gone through.
Scott's apparently doing well enough that he has no fear of burning this bridge anymore.
I mean, how are they going to come after? The company's dissolved.
Good point.
Yeah.
Scott also quote tweeted an old tweet from HQ Trivia co-founder Russ Yusupov, where Russ had said, "Don't sell your company." That was referring to the fact that he had sold Vine to Twitter, and at this point of the tweet that he wrote, Vine was now dead. Scott Rogowski's quote tweet of that read, "Don't let him run your company." Russ replied to that with just hugs. To which Scott replied, "Russ, you are a clinical sociopath. As much as the HQ employees didn't care for your leadership, which twice drove the company into the ground, we care about you as a fellow human. Please seek treatment from a mental health professional and get the help you need. Hugs indeed."
Whew. As for why Scott dislikes Russ so much, reason number one would be the fact that he wasn't allowed to work anywhere else while working for HQ. But reason number two can be found in an old Daily Beast article from November 2017 that we somehow missed back then. But it's insane. Basically, the Daily Beast wanted to do a profile on Rogowski since he was the face of this hot new app. They went ahead and did it, and then Russ Yusupov reached out to the Daily Beast to let them know that if they ran it, they would fire Scott.
Yeah, so let's just read some pieces from the article. Yusupov, the CEO of HQ, called the reporter's cell phone and immediately raised his voice. He said that we were, quote, completely unauthorized to write about Scott or HQ without his approval, and that if we wrote any type of piece about Scott, he would lose his job. Yusupov continued to threaten Scott's job even after the Daily Beast explained that the story was framed around Scott's daily life and that he revealed no corporate information. Quote, you're putting Scott's job in jeopardy. Is that what you want? Yusupov said. Quote, Scott could lose his job.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Here's some more. Yusupov's objections began with the line, Scott said that despite the attention, he's still able to walk down the street and order his favorite salad from Sweetgreen without being accosted. He cannot say that, Yusupov shouted. We do not have a brand deal with Sweetgreen. Under no circumstances can he say that. Jesus. When asked to confirm that Rogowski can't say he personally enjoys eating at Sweetgreen, Yusupov said, he cannot say that, inaccurately claiming that Scott had disclosed private company information by revealing his preference for a salad chain.
I love how snarkily they wrote this.
If they're not paying us, you can't fucking print it.
Here's some more. When the Daily Beast read Yusupov a quote from Rogowski saying, I can make people happy and give them the trivia they so desperately love and want. It's been so great to build this community. Yusupov implored the reporter to take that out. Asked for clarification, Yusupov replied that Rogowski was absolutely not allowed to say that he, quote, enjoys making people happy and giving them the trivia they want. He cannot say that people want trivia, said Yusupov, the founder of the HQ Trivia app.
This guy just sounds like a
lunatic.
The craziest control freak ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does seem like the guy who was running HQ Trivia is a complete fucking lunatic. Not only will he probably land on his feet, he is going to do very well in this career path.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what company he's running next.
Once you're in,
I heard WeWork's looking for someone.
Come on, Russ.
Did you see their tweet today? They were like, adding a bit of fun to meetings, really helps employees out. And it's a WeWork location with people having a meeting, and the room is filled with balls like a ball pit.
Fuck off. Fuck out of here.
So it looks like the guy running HQ Trivia was a lunatic, and Scott Rogowski has every right to say what he's been saying over the last week. But HQ Trivia, what if it wasn't actually dead?
Ah, fuck.
According to Russ's Twitter, despite HQ running out of money, he might have found a new source of funding to keep the show going. Funding secured, if you will. A famous
always
saying
goes well.
The Saudis have come knocking. What's the greatest country on earth? If you answered Saudi Arabia, you each get $5.
Yeah. Who's the best candidate on earth? If you said Mike Bloomberg, $150.
Everyone gets $150. Yeah, that's the new funding.
Yeah.
Mike Bloomberg and Mohammed bin Salman.
A match made in heaven.
Yeah, the crossover that gets it right.
Yep.
So yes, he alleges there's some funding, but knowing Russ, this could be bullshit. And despite him saying that HQ's employees and contractors are his top priority, it seems unlikely that any of those people will be coming back into work after what they've been through.
Yeah. So it's a Friday. You find out, and apparently Russ just ghosted the entire office. They all found out via the PR statement that went public that they had lost their jobs. And found out they were getting no severance through the company Slack chat.
Yeah.
And then they did that final broadcast where they were basically just saying, fuck you, to Russ. So I don't think they'll be coming back, even if this turns out to be
He found
true.
funding as a spite investment. No, we're bringing it back, and everyone who talks shit, you could have had your jobs back. But nope, it's like one last power grab.
Yeah. I mean, definitely these are the kind of situations where you, for the first time in your life, you realize, no, I am better than that money. Mm-hmm. Whatever it might be. I'm better than that.
Yeah.
So, we'll have to see how that turns out, but...
I'm so excited to see HQ2.
HQ2, baby. Just like Vine 2.
Yeah.
Everything gets a sequel these days.
Yeah.
Anyways, we do have Phil in the house coming up next, but first, it's time for a quick word from this week's sponsors, starting with Stitch Fix. Personal style is like a fingerprint. Everyone has their own. Whatever your style, the expert stylists at Stitch Fix are ready to help you express yourself. Stitch Fix is an online personal styling service that delivers your favorite clothing brands right to your door. To get started, go to stitchfix.com/newsday, answer some questions about your preferred style, and your personal shopper will ship you a box of clothes, shoes, and accessories.
With Stitch Fix, everyone can look their best. They have solutions for men, women, and kids all over the US and now the UK. Gubna. There's no commitment required and you only pay for what you keep. Shipping, exchanges, and returns, they're always free. Plus, the $20 styling fee is automatically applied towards anything that you keep from your box. You'll never have to worry about looking good again with Stitch Fix. So get started today at stitchfix.com/newsday and you'll get an extra 25% off when you keep everything in your box. That is stitchfix.com/newsday. Spring's coming. You need a new wardrobe.
Yeah, it's going to get warm.
Eventually.
Take that parka off.
And then it's going to get really, really hot for a while.
Yeah, especially here. Also, this episode is sponsored by ButcherBox. If tenderness is the mark of an excellent steak, well, one cut is king, and that is the filet mignon. Now, sure, it has less marbling than a ribeye, but the texture is unbeatable. Are you still missing the fat? Well, nothing that a quick wrap in some bacon won't fix. And right now, ButcherBox gives you 2 fillets and a pack of bacon free with your first box.
Every month, ButcherBox ships a curated selection of high-quality meat right to your home. All the meat is free of antibiotics and added hormones. Each box has between 9 and 11 pounds of meat, enough for 24 individual meals. It's packed fresh, and it's shipped frozen and vacuum sealed so that it stays fresh. Customize your box order or go with one of theirs. Either way, you're going to get exactly what you want.
This is good meat. Options include 100% grass-fed and finished beef, free-range organic chicken, heritage pork, wild-caught Alaskan salmon, and sugar-free, nitrate-free bacon. Right now, you can get 2 filet mignons and a pack of bacon plus $20 off your first box when you sign up now at butcherbox.com/newsday or use the promo code Newsday at checkout. That is butcherbox.com/newsday or use promo code Newsday at checkout.
Get your meat.
Get your meat on. Well,
you can't have any pudding until you get your meat. So
as they say.
that's what Pink Floyd said.
That's what Pink Floyd said.
Yeah.
All right, Phil.
Phil, where are you at? Come on in here.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
I guess Phil's got some news for you.
Hey, kids! Today we're going to be talking about smartphones. But before we do, let's find out the word of the day. Today's word is Schadenfreude. What does it mean? Schadenfreude is enjoyment obtained from the troubles of others. I personally feel it when overpriced gimmick smartphones fail. Does this make me a bad person? I don't care, all right? So let's take a look at some legendary failures and see if you too feel Schadenfreude. In 2004, Nokia released the N-Gage, a phone that played games. It was a hilarious failure because the cartridge slot was behind the battery and you had to disassemble the phone if you wanted to change games. Plus, you had to hold the phone like this if you wanted to make a call. People call it the taco phone because the phone looked like a taco. Schadenfreude. You feel that? Feel good. Red is a company that makes high-end camera gear, and in 2018 they released the Hydrogen 1. It was supposed to be a revolutionary step for filmmakers. The camera had an air quotes holographic screen, a proprietary port for professional hardware expansion, and an $1,195 price tag.
Jesus.
The phone also had an old processor. It never actually had any peripherals come out for that fancy port, and it looked like it belonged on a dad's belt clip. Schadenfreude. There's a whole lot more of that coming because there's these new foldable phones and they're a reality. And last year, Samsung was the first to market with the Galaxy Fold. See, it was a Galaxy you could fold.
Wow.
All the marketing materials look cool, and yup, you could actually fold this thing in half. But when journalists got their hands on it, the foldable screens started to break. So for $2,000, you could buy a phone that would do this. And then Samsung eventually changed the design of the product before it was released in September, but foldable phones clearly were not ready for prime time. Well, look at this. It's 2020, and this is the future. So let's see if big companies finally got their shit together. Remember the Motorola Razr, the phone that every single person on the planet had in 2006? If you didn't have one, you weren't a human. Well, here is the foldable reboot. It's supposed to do all the things that a regular phone does, but it gives you the power to hang up on some dumb bastard just by clamping it shut. Flip, remember how cool that used to be? Like, flip, I want to talk to that person. They even included a retro mode Easter egg to make the new phone look like the old phone. Let's take a look at some reviews. You're getting a $400 smartphone camera on a $1,500 smartphone. Between the Razr's mid-range processor, awful battery life, disappointing camera, and low-resolution display, Motorola made many difficult cost-cutting decisions to ensure the Razr could be available at a price that some people could potentially afford. And this is my favorite one. Let me put this very bluntly. The screen on the Razr is gross. It ripples, it creaks, it moves when you touch it. It very visibly shows creases and bumps when the display is off. Its physicality is pronounced in a way that is simply very different than any other smartphone display on the market. It doesn't feel nice, it feels worrying. Well, this thing may be an overpriced novelty, but at least the screens aren't falling apart like after a week. Our Motorola Razr display is already breaking and peeling at the fold. We've had it for only a week. Raymond Wong over at Input posted plenty of photos, and yep, it sure looks, and I think this is the technical term here, all fucked up. Okay, Motorola, you're fired. Samsung, time to show them how it's done. Boom. It's the Samsung Z Flip. Sure looks cool to me, guys. And according to Samsung, this thing is made to last. Fold after fold after fold. How so? The phone's display uses ultra-thin glass, durable enough to withstand 200,000 folds. Well, the phone's been out a week, and guess what? It's not doing super good. Zach Nelson from Jerry Rig Everything found out that the Z Flip screen scratches as easily as plastic. Not glass, like they said it is. And then he demonstrated that he can scratch it with his fingernail. You can permanently damage the phone by when you scrape it with your fingernail. Dieter Bond from The Verge asked Samsung whether the screen is glass or plastic, and their response is sentences. Galaxy Z Flip features an Infinity Flex display with Samsung's ultra-thin glass, UTG, to deliver a sleek, premium look and offer an immersive viewing experience. Samsung's first-of-its-kind UTG technology is different from other Galaxy flagship devices. While the display does bend, it should be handled with care. Also, Galaxy Z Flip has a protective layer on top of the UTG, similar to Galaxy Fold. All right, look, I've never manufactured or designed a smartphone, and it's easy to be a dick and kick these companies while they're down. But the reality is, these phones, they're not cheap. They're not like some throwaway, and they release a technology that is clearly not ready for consumers to get their grubby little hands on. Think of how much you touch your phone and how often you kind of beat it up. So there is an expectation for what a phone is and does in 2020. You shouldn't have to talk into it like a taco, and you shouldn't be able to scratch it with your fingernail, and the screen shouldn't start peeling after a week. And I don't know why, but the fact that all these folding phones falling apart, it makes me happy. And that, kids, is Schadenfreude.
Thanks, Phil. I would just wish you would show Samsung a little bit more respect, because at the very least, their phones aren't catching on fire. And, you know,
yeah, that's an improvement.
They deserve some points.
Also, I think all these companies should be let off the hook, because most of them are based over in Korea or Japan, where people are like respectful and clean.
Yeah.
And not,
it's the Americans' fault.
Beasts. Yeah, you shouldn't judge any product by how Americans' hands deal with them, because all we know what to do is like destroy.
Yes. We destroy anything we touch. It's a national pastime.
Yep.
Anyways, folks, in other news, we've got yet another dude in a jetpack hauling ass across the sky like Iron Man, and this is the most impressive I've ever seen. Now, the last jetpack guy we talked about, it was Frankie Zapata, who back in August flew across the English Channel on his flyboard, which technically isn't a jetpack and is more akin to the thing that the Green Goblin flies around on. Now, it was still very cool, although didn't he take a break in between and
I mean, like, that's what...
He landed like a buoy thing?
That's why he botched it the first time. He missed his landing and fell in the ocean.
Anyways, now we've got Vince Jetman Refit flying around the skies of Dubai in his jet-powered wingsuit.
So we actually talked about this guy and his former colleague Eve Rossi a few years back when they first showed off this insane mode of transportation that they developed. But this latest video is the first time that this system has actually taken off from the ground rather than from an elevated platform or a helicopter. And it is quite impressive. He gets 1,000 meters above ground in just around 30 seconds. And he flies around for a bit. He does like a barrel roll and a flip. That's before pulling his parachute and coming back down to Earth. Presumably, the next feat will be doing all of this with a parachute-free landing. But this is still cool as hell.
He literally looks like Wile E. Coyote lit a rocket under him. Just straight up.
Yeah.
The G-forces he must have been pulling, doing that, where he goes vertical.
Yeah, they said he was like, it goes 130 miles an hour.
It's intense. It's an impressive feat.
You gotta be brave.
I just love that the people of Dubai like see this shit and they're like, well, we're at it again, I guess.
Yeah, that's Dubai's favorite, their national pastime in the UAE is just investing in like weird, not very practical technology.
Yeah, they're like the Jetsons.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dubai is a beta testing zone.
Yeah.
Anyways, over in Stadia news, last week we talked about how NVIDIA GeForce Now is a better cloud gaming service in multiple ways, particularly the selection of games and the ability to play games you already own on Steam versus Stadia's library of just 26 games that you have to actually pay full price for regardless of whether or not you already own them. Well, look out, because Stadia's selections of games is about to get a whole lot bigger, baby. They just made a huge announcement that they're adding 5 hot new games to their library.
Sorry, did you say 5?
Yeah, 5. That's huge.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on. I did the thing.
Yeah, we're talking AAA titles like Lost Worlds Beyond the Page.
What?
Panzer Dragoon Remake.
Huh?
The Serious Sam Collection.
I know some of those words.
Spitlings.
What?
And Stacks on Stacks on Stacks.
Is that about money? Is that a new Drug Wars game?
I don't know. Maybe I'm not. The young kids, they know more about games than I do these days.
I've heard people do really love Panzer Dragoon.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people although the Stadia subreddit is highly AstroTurf, lots of people being like, what? What? Panzer Dragoon? You fucking kidding me?
The original game came out 18 years ago.
I just want to say thank you, Stadia, giving the players what they want. Panzer Dragoon.
Yeah, so that's all also no real release date. It's just coming out soon.
Well, that could be any time.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a bit underwhelming, especially considering that Stadia previously claimed to have 120 games available by the end of 2020. Things don't really bode well at this current pace.
No.
Especially with these kinds of options. No offense to anyone.
They're going to release 75 games in July. Don't worry.
Yeah. I mean, meanwhile, though, Stadia on mobile devices is no longer exclusive to Pixel phones. Finally, they've announced 17 more phones from Samsung, Asus, and Razer that will soon have Stadia working on them.
Do you think Motorola is pissed at Razer for making a phone that isn't the Motorola Razer phone?
It's it's got to be a little bit confusing, but hey. Now, unfortunately,
No, Panzer Dragoon Remake. It's awesome.
All right, we got ourselves a taker.
Now do a Bloomberg ad. He's working for Google and Bloomberg.
Moves like Bloomberg.
Anyways, the roughly half the population that has Apple devices, they remain, for the foreseeable future, shit out of luck, with no end in sight for Google Stadia. Also, for GeForce Now. Both companies seem to be having issues getting their software on Apple phones. Yeah. But Xbox's upcoming Project xCloud, they do have an iOS beta happening right now, though. So there's that. Yeah. If you're an Xbox gamer who's also an Apple person and also has a great internet connection,
you can try it out.
And you ride a lot of, well, not public transit, because I don't know. This whole cloud gaming thing's weird. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't. But they're all trying it, so that's fun.
Yeah, it's fine. Anyways, that's it for Tech News Day this week. Be sure to watch our most recent episodes of News Dump and Weekly Weird News, and we'll see you very soon for some more episodes. And that's pretty much all we got. We're going to do a podcast next week because it was a holiday.
It was President's
This week
Day.
we were celebrating George Washington and that cherry tree.
Out of respect for our president, Donald J. Trump, we took the day off.
Yeah, we took the day off. Yeah. Anyways, thanks. We'll see you next time.